Welcome to A Slice of Bacon with Matt Bacon, a podcast about movies and television, but mostly movies. Today is Monday, March 21st, 2016, and I'll be discussing weekend box office results, Daisy Ridley in talks for Tomb Raider, my thoughts on the casting announcements for a series of unfortunate events, and a look at what I watched this weekend. But first, welcome to week 2. As I said Friday, changes will be made for these first few weeks, but I am trying to do a daily podcast, and that is still in the cards. I don't expect episodes to last too long, maybe somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes, but other than that, look us up on iTunes and subscribe. Just search A Slice of Bacon in the search box, and click through and subscribe and leave a review. With that, it's time for the box office. This week's results were a little surprising, with the number 1 spot going to Zootopia for a third week in a row with $38 million. The Divergent series Allegiant saw the lowest opening for the series, coming in number 2 at $29 million. The number 3 spot went to faith-based Miracles from Heaven with $15 million, while 10 Cloverfield Lane came in 4th with $12.5 million, and Deadpool landed in the 5th place spot with $8 million. I was actually pretty surprised by this, and by surprised I mean the first two. Last week I said that I thought Allegiant would come in first, but I was mistaken. This is, it's not really surprising, seeing as the critical response to this film has been pretty poor. It has somewhere between 20 and 30%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes. People don't like this movie, probably because it's a part 1. One of the biggest problems that was created by Harry Potter was the slicing up of your last book. Deathly Hallows was 2 books, but it was long enough that 2 books were warranted. Then Mockingjay tried it, and it kind of worked for part 1. Part 2 did not get as many people enjoying it. And as we can see by Allegiant, fans just don't want their book sliced in half if it doesn't need to be. People don't want to go to a movie thinking it is the last one to find out, oh wait, there's more. So that was probably not a good move on the studio's part. That said, $29 million is still not too bad, I guess. I don't know how it's going to pan out when it's done, but it's probably going to make over the budget. I'm glad to see that Zootopia is still on top. That was a great film with a great theme, and it was just great all around. My only complaint was probably the music, which could have been a little bit better, but seeing as Gina Kino's best soundtrack has probably been Up, it was never going to live up to that. So that's a small complaint. Everything else in the movie was basically perfect to me. It's a movie I may get once it comes out on Blu-ray. As for number 3, Miracles from Heaven, I wasn't surprised that it was number 3, and I wasn't surprised with its $15 million box office. It had 2 big names, Queen Latifah and Jennifer Garner, and it was a faith-based film. Faith-based films don't do horribly. War Room came in first last year, 1 week. In fact, I believe it would have done much better had it not released in the middle of the week last week. As for 4th and 5th place, 10 Cloverfield Lane and Deadpool, it's not surprising that those are still where they are. 10 Cloverfield Lane seems to not have held up that well, which is not surprising, seeing as many people who have reviewed the film say that its links to Cloverfield are small, and from what I heard, the script had been changed so that it fits into the Cloverfield universe. Anyway, with that, I move on to a bit of news. A couple of weeks ago, it was reported that Daisy Ridley was being eyed for the Tomb Raider reboot, in which she'd play series protagonist Lara Croft. Those same reports also said she wasn't the only actor being looked at, but her name was the only one that was released. Today, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Ridley confirmed there have been conversations and that she's completely interested in the role if she was formally asked. Now, I'm not familiar with the game beyond the character recognition. I was not even during the days of PlayStation, I was not a Tomb Raider fan. I tried it a couple times. I did not like the controls, and I gave up quite quickly. Then I heard that they rebooted it, but I never checked out the reboot. I looked at pictures of Lara Croft, and Daisy Ridley looks like the character just fine. Basically, I can see her in that role, and she has the acting chops as we've seen in Star Wars. That said, Star Wars was a great introduction to her, but do I want to see her in another franchise? I don't know. Star Wars is going to take up a lot of her time, and if she goes into Tomb Raider, that's most likely, if it's any good, it's going to be more than one movie. It'll be at least 2, maybe 3. And there's not even a script yet. I don't want to see her sign up for a movie where there is no actor. Or not where there's no actor, where there's no script. It could be a really, really shitty script. It could be a great script. We have no clue. But if it's a bad script and she's already signed up for 3 movies, she could be looking at career suicide. Just look at Shailene Woodley with the with the Divergent movies. Back when the first one came out, she looked like she was going to have a great career. Now, I don't know what's happening. She isn't as popular as she once was, and it's not because she's not a good actress. She was great in The Descendants, and she's actually pretty good in these Divergent films. It's the script that doesn't do her any favors. But hopefully once those films are out, she'll be good. But I digress. Back to Daisy Ridley. I don't want to see her go in that direction. I want to see her have a great career because I know she will if she picks the right roles. Hopefully Tomb Raider would be the right role if she is asked, but I hope that she is asked only after there's a script. But we'll see. That's a ways away. Now on to talking about the casting announcements for A Series of Unfortunate Events. In the past month, more details have been coming out about Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events in the form of casting announcements. For those unfamiliar with the book series this show will be based on, it's about the adventures of Violet, Klaus, and Sunny Baudelaire, 3 orphans as they attempt to find happiness in an unhappy world, as well as keep away from the villainous Count Olaf as the truth behind their parents' deaths slowly surfaces. So far, a handful of roles have been cast. Violet and Klaus will be played by Melina Weissman and Lewis Hines, respectively. The role of Count Olaf will be played by Neil Patrick Harris. Patrick Warburton will play Lemony Snicket, and Asif Mandvi will play the Baudelaire's Uncle Monty. Now, I don't know about the children. I looked them up. I haven't seen them in anything. I hope they'll make a good Violet and Klaus. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they won't. Child actors can go either way. They are make or break for the series, so I really hope that the casting directors did a good job. But I have nothing to judge them on, so I can't really talk about whether I think they'll be good or bad. As far as how they look themselves, I did a quick Google image search. They look like the characters in the book as I see them in my head. And they kind of look like the characters did in the movie version that came out from Nickelodeon Studios several years ago now. So hopefully they'll be good. As for Neil Patrick Harris, that is an odd choice. I honestly thought Jim Carrey was a good Count Olaf. He overacted and his script was terrible, but I don't think that was his fault. There were a lot of problems with the Series of Unfortunate Events, but I do not think casting was a problem, nor do I believe that the music was a problem. The problem, first and foremost, was the script. They should not have fit 3 books into one film. That was a huge mistake. Now, hopefully what they do with this series is they go for only 1 season and have 1 book per episode and have 13 episodes. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but if they do anything else, they'd be pretty stupid. So we'll see. But as I was saying about Neil Patrick Harris, I heard that he was good in American Horror Story. I didn't see that. I haven't checked it out. It's really hard to check out unless it's already been out for a year and then it'll be on Netflix. But right now, I don't think his season is on Netflix. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Tweet me at BaconRelatedPun. But I don't know. I saw him in Gone Girl 2, or not Gone Girl 2. I saw him in Gone Girl, And that was a good film. I thought he was the weakest link. I thought he was played creepy pretty well, but not in a... It's hard to describe, but I didn't like him that much. I thought he played creepy, but I don't see him as being a good Count Olaf kind of creepy. Maybe they're gonna have him be more like his character of Barney on How I Met Your Mother in humor, because in the book, I guess Olaf is charming, but the kids can see through his ruse all the time, but nobody else can. That said, I don't remember if that was because the adults in that world were supposed to be stupid and the kids were supposed to be smart, or if it was, in fact, because Olaf was charming. And then Patrick Warburton as Patrick Warburton as Lemony Snicket seems weird because I will always think of him as Putty from Seinfeld. His voice is always down here, and when he talks, he has this loud voice, and I don't think he's the best fit. Lemony Snicket is probably going to be the narrator just as he is in the movie and just as he acts in the book. And I don't know if I want every scene or even every episode to begin with Patrick Warburton speaking. I like him in the roles that he's doing as Joe on Family Guy and as the announcer, the flight pilot or something, whatever he is in the Disney ride soaring over California. But here I just don't think he's a good choice. We'll see, but I'm cautiously optimistic. The only casting announcement that I'm 100% on board with is Asif Manvi, which has always been one of my favorite Daily Show correspondents. I honestly thought he should have taken over the Daily Show, but he is 50, so I don't think that's exactly what he wanted to do. But I enjoy him in every role he's in. Well, barring Avatar, the live-action film, the live-action Airbender film. But that film had a lot of problems other than him, so can't really blame him for that film. I don't know. I enjoyed the film, as I said, and I like the casting in the film more than I like the casting so far in this. The kids were perfect in that film. Of course, they're too old now, so they can't come back. So it's obvious they have to get younger children, and they look like their counterparts from the movie, so I'm happy with that. Count Olaf, Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf, I don't know. If they can make him up and make him look like the character, great. If he can act better than he has in Gone Girl, great. Jude Law as Patrick Warburton, Jude Law as Lemony Snicket was also pretty perfect. I liked how he had that kind of English, charismatic, suave quality to him. Patrick Warburton, I don't see having that, but we'll see. And Billy Connolly was in the movie version, and I wasn't a big fan of him. I've never been a big fan of Billy Connolly, so Mondevi also has that going for him. But again, we'll see how this turns out. The series is supposed to come this year. It's already March, though, so I have no idea if it's actually going to be in 2016 or if it's going to be pushed back. I have no idea if there are any scripts done. I have no idea with anything except for these casting announcements that have come out. With that, let us go to the Let us go to my final topic, which is what I watched on Netflix this weekend. There were two things I checked out. First was Jimmy Carr Funny Business. This was a comedy special on Netflix that I think that anybody into one-liner humor that is a little bit vulgar should check out. It is inappropriate, but it is very funny. He's an English comedian, and I wish he did more in the States, but he doesn't. He hosts a lot of British panel shows. He's done a few comedy specials in the past on Comedy Central and the like, but that was about 5-6 years ago. This new special is wonderful. It's about an hour long. He does some audience work, which, if it's done badly, can be terrible, but he knows how to connect with his audience, and he knows how to He knows how to heckle right back at them. So that's all good. Again, his one-liners are his best stuff. Really check him out. It's a hilarious special from beginning to end. I also checked out the new movie Pee-wee's Big Holiday. That was cute, but it wasn't much more than that. It's impossible to hate the character of Pee-wee Herman, just because he's such a lovable character, and it feels like a kid, so it feels like if you make fun of Pee-wee Herman, you're basically making fun of a child. Which is funny because Paul Reubens is pretty old now, compared to his character's age. But, I don't know. The humor just wasn't there to the extent it could have been. They had a lot of funny gags that I believe would have been funnier with a different director, but it felt like they had too many ideas, but too small of a budget. There's a couple scenes where Pee-wee's flying in a airplane car, coming down, floating on an umbrella. There's some Rube Goldberg stuff, and it's cute, but it really doesn't go anywhere. It's just a gag that has no punchline. It just is there to look kind of childish and whimsical, and it just doesn't work as well as it could. That said, there were a few high points. One of those was Joe Manganiello, who played himself as a traveler who comes into Pee-wee's town and invites him to his birthday party. He made the finale much better than it could have been otherwise. Pee-wee Herman himself, Paul Reubens, does a great job as his old character. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him redo or bring back Pee-wee's Playhouse or even do a couple more films, as long as the script is a little bit more polished. Is it worth watching on a Saturday where you have nothing else to do but you have Netflix? Yes. If this were a film in theaters, would I say go see it? No. Which is a problem with Netflix that I am starting to have, but that is a topic for another day. And with that, I will end this episode of the podcast. Have a wonderful Monday afternoon.